Advancing technologies and globalization is reconfiguring how we conceptualize literacy today. Literacy is being transformed through the increased cultural and linguistic diversity of the world. Australian population is considered to be one of the most diverse, multicultural societies. 2012 census reveals that 1 in every 4 Australians are born overseas. Today, educators must foster and support language and cultural differences in classrooms. Not only is multiculturalism changing the face of literacy, but also the current digital revolution. Literacy does not just involve reading, writing, listening and speaking, but today's children must be multiliterate as they decipher, code break, understand meaning and express opinions through a variety of media. Children are required to be adaptable and strategic as they manipulate multimodal text. For example, the internet can incorporate visual, auditory, and written modes. The internet is particularly a powerful tool that is revolutionizing literacy. Currently, over 2.5 million citizens use the internet to read, solve solutions, and communicate. Furthermore, the number of people online has increased to nearly 600% during the last 12 years. In Australia alone, nearly 70% of the population uses the internet. These numbers will only increase, which articulates the need for educators to teach young children through a variety of technologies such as the internet. Through technology, children now have easier access and quicker results, which exposes them to large amounts of information and media. Using media outlets such as movies, music, television, video games, internet and magazines, young children have been influenced by the popular culture. These texts are designed to capture young children into the consumer culture. Research has proven that these texts have the influence to form children's identities as they mold their possessions, ideologies and relationships. Children can develop controversial ideas such as unjust beliefs on gender, race and social power. Due to the negative portrayal of popular culture, educators are reluctant to incorporate these texts into literacy lessons. However, research has proven educators using these texts in a critical literacy lesson can be beneficial for children. Critical literacy is a crucial element of literacy that must be integrated in conjunction with speaking, listening, writing, and reading in an early childhood setting. Critical literacy supports children to question, explore, or challenge the power relationships that exist between authors and readers. Lewison, Flint, and Van Sloers states, critical literacy allows children to gain understanding of multiple viewpoints as they consider text from the perspective of different characters or from those not represented in the text. Critical literacy challenges inequity by identifying ways that texts reproduce disadvantages and marginalize minority groups. This is essential, especially in regards to the wide cultural diverse society in which we live in, where these minority groups can be disadvantaged and discriminated against. Children critically understanding text are then able to take action and bring change in an appropriate and equal approach. Luke explains critical literacy as a new basic. Therefore, critical literacy should be a vital component in early childhood education. There is much debate in regards to young children being involved in discussions around social justice issues. The impression that young children are victims and need protecting prohibit them to participate in current issues. However, young children are very aware of social justice issues, which is often evident as they play, interact, and dramatize their understandings of their social worlds, power relations, and gender roles. The question then is, not should early childhood educators teach critical literacy, but how should critical literacy be taught? Young children need guidance and support to learn to ask questions, to problematize text and images, and to scrutinize the text. Educators and children should collaboratively analyze oral, print, and digital text to increase their understandings of the way in which texts are constructed. This could be best achieved through adopting a questioning approach. For example, when discussing an internet site or reading a magazine to children, educators should offer questions such as, who is not represented in these texts, and what is the author's purpose for writing this? Educators should also approach all texts as representational through finding, discussing and promoting alternative textual representation. Children engaging in new literacies, or in other words, a variety of print and digital texts, should incorporate a 5-step process designed by a group of scholars. This process involves firstly identifying the important questions, then locating the information, followed by critically evaluating the usefulness of that information, then synthesizing information to answer those questions, and finally communicating the answers to others. It is important to note that even though young children may have an understanding of the topic being analysed, educators must ensure the results of this discussion do not affect certain children or their parents. Informing parents of the topic being analysed beforehand could prevent conflict. Critical literacy will only work effectively if there is a literacy balance approach. Luke and Freebody have designed a balanced literacy program for today's children called the 4 Resources Model. The 4 Resource Model consists of code breaking, which requires a system to decode written, visual images and oral languages. Text participant is allowing to build and construct cultural meaning from text. Text user is understanding how language varies and how to apply it effectively to everyday situations. And text analysis is analysing, critiquing and second-guessing text, or in other words, critical literacy. These skills can be used together or separate, but need to be used equally to develop literacy skills. However, often critical literacy is avoided or chosen to be ignored. Critical literacy is just as important as phonics and spelling, which is code breaking, and comprehension, which is text participant. Part 2 will identify clear examples in how critical literacy can work in the classroom.